Hi, Starpoint. This is Mr. Seward, and today this is the CIM class, and it is 1.1.1 History of Manufacturing, and we're also going to talk a little bit about manufacturing in the present time frame. So I'm going to go to my little PowerPointy here, and let's talk about the history of manufacturing. So here's the overview. I'm going to go through this, so if you want to stop and read that, you can, but why do we manufacture things? Well, manufacturing counts for about 20% of the United States gross domestic product, and manufacturing employs 17% of the U.S. workforce. That was actually, I thought it would be a higher number than that. Now, prior to the 19th century, so this is like 1800s, artisans were the people that produced products. They were handmade. They made things one at a time, and that makes producing stuff very costly and also very timely. There are still people out there that are artisans that make things. For instance, at my own house, I just built a library table to use as a desk in my house, so that I can, have my computers spaced out nicely. So that would be considered an artisan, even in today's day and age. Now, prior to the 19th century, uh, Eli Whitney, who created the uh, printing press, he also made what's called a milling machine. That's what this little thing is down here. That's a milling machine. If you look in the room that's right behind Mr. Tabor's classroom, you'll see modern versions of this machine right here in Tabor's classroom in the back. Eli's big contribution, though, wasn't the cotton gin. It was actually the interchangeability of parts. And the workers of a factory, he believed, also should be treated with respect. Prior to that, workers weren't treated with respect. He, Eli Whitney, helped to, he really took the manufacturing of muskets, guns, and updated it and made it so that if a part broke on one musket, it could be placed onto another musket. That hadn't happened before. In the early 1900s, along came Henry Ford. He introduced the assembly line, and he found that manufacturing could be sped up if the assembly process was broken down into smaller parts. One person doing one job day after day after day. Also in the early 1900s, Kiichiro Toyoda, the founder of what became the Toyota Motor Company, came along, and he created what's called Kaizen, which means literally good change. So that allows for the continuous improvement with employee input. The Japanese distinguish Kaizen from innovation, though, as they interpret a radical change as innovation rather than continuous change. So they also came up with lean manufacturing as a technique for building things at the Toyota production systems. And that is the systematic elimination of waste. There are 5 areas that drive lean manufacturing production. It's cost, quantity, cost, quality, delivery, safety, and morale. Again, the morale of the factory is very important to Toyota. Now, in the mid 1900s, Jarvis B. Webb Company created the first electronically coordinated conveyor system. He's the guy that went to Henry Ford and said, "Hey, I have something here that you should probably think about using on your assembly lines." And they started to build conveyor systems for the Ford Motor Company. Manufacturing systems today. So we have what are called automated storage and retrieval systems, and you can look this up on YouTube and take a look at this video. It's kind of neat. Basically, what that does is it moves material vertically or horizontally between storage compartments and a transfer station or within some sort of a process. Um, the other one that's on here is automated guided vehicles, AGVs, and there's another video for you to kind of take a look at. They are computer controlled systems that have pallets that transport work pieces to a numerical control machine, to tools, to other equipment in a flexible manufacturing system. And then we have AI, which is artificial intelligence. And there, the machines are learning from experience, and they gain knowledge, and they actually solve some problems, some simple problems. So that's pretty cool. If you want to look at something, look up Amazon warehouse videos on YouTube and see where you might see ASRS or AGVs in their buildings. Today, we have CIM, which stands for, as I hope you guys all realize now, Computer Integrated Manufacturing. I sometimes say machining, but it's Computer Integrated Manufacturing. It's really a company-wide management philosophy for planning, integrating, and the implementation of automation. Got these little things on here. Kaizen is the Japanese word for improvement, and that's based on the continuous improvement by everybody. Manufacturing, flexible manufacturing systems, FMS, that's where the manufacturing adapts efficiently to changing need, and you can possibly increase your productivity in any instance by up to 50%. Manufacturing today, we have just-in-time JIT. That's effect is, or its objective is to eliminate waste. And it's capable of producing mixed products, and it uses cross-trained workers. Even in these automobile factories, they are cross-training people to do multiple jobs. It cuts down on their boredom and improves their morale and makes for a healthier, safer workplace. The Toyota Production System, TPS, that's applied to automotive manufacturing. It competes with mass production, and it employs lean production strategies. And here are videos for lean manufacturing. It's the systematic elimination of waste. That's what lean manufacturing is. An entire system has to participate in order to produce effectively. Now, Sigma 6, that's what this is right here. That's what this emblem is. That indicates a measure of quality for near perfection, and it produces fewer than, let's see if I can shrink the slide up. Oh, okay, well, I'll just move up like this. It produces fewer than 3.4 defects per million opportunities to produce something. And it identifies and corrects the causes of defects. Rapid prototyping, that is a prototype made directly from a computer model. We have a rapid prototyping machine here that is the 3D printer in the room behind Mr. Tabor's classroom. There are a lot of different technologies though. There's what's called stereolithography, which is very similar to rapid prototyping. There is 3D printing, which I have already mentioned. There is something called selective laser sintering, and the difference between this and stereolithography is stereolithography has like a big vat of goo that they shoot with a laser beam, and that hardens the material. Selective laser sintering is a big vat of like a metal powder that they use the laser beam on, and that hardens the material, and it creates the model. It builds it from the bottom up. And then there's fuse deposition modeling. That's kind of like a welding torch attached to a CNC. That's the best way I can describe it. Work cells are manufacturing resources arranged into a group, and then an envelope is a range of motion that a robotic arm or a machine can do. So it's how far it can reach, forwards and backwards, left and right. That's its work envelope. And robots also are classified by the degrees of freedom of their individual movements. So being able to twist a wrist, or to grip something, or bend at an elbow, those are all degrees of freedom. So that is the end of this PowerPoint about the history of and of manufacturing for today.